Hey there, it's Dr. Tiffany, and we are in the final installment of our focus for this week, where we're talking about what is the right thing to teach your child, what is enough for teaching your child, and whether or not you're challenging your child. So we've addressed the first two questions, and if you haven't watched those first two videos, go back, watch those, and then come back here so that you can get this final installment. And in this particular video today, we're going to be talking about, am I challenging my child in their learning process? So am I giving them enough challenging information? But before I jump into that, let me tell you who I am. I am a former member of corporate America turned homeschooling mom, entrepreneur, and author, and I am passionate about empowering moms to teach, nurture, and support their children with confidence while still remembering themselves in the process. So that's who I am, that's what I love to do, and that's why I'm talking to you today. So let's jump in on this last question. Am I offering my child enough challenging information? Once again, highly subjective, because you have to know where your child is in the process of their learning. So for a particular subject matter, something you may need to take that particular subject slower than others, and in other subjects you may be able to accelerate them or offer them a more difficult level of information or content around that particular subject because they're able to handle it. But once again, this takes into account needing to observe your child and to figure out one specific thing. What is their capability? This is when you know whether or not you are challenging your child. If your child is capable of doing a certain particular level of work and you're giving them work that is behind their capability, then you know that you're not challenging them. Some of the ways to identify that your child is not being challenged is that they can be easily distracted. They are constantly asking you questions that are not specifically focused around the area that you're in. They're asking you questions that extend to maybe another part of that particular subject, but it's a further out portion. So they're starting to ask you questions that aren't in the area where you're covering, but they are showing you they're ready to know that. Also, one of the things you want to make sure that you can answer positively is, going back to my first video where we talked about mastery, has your child mastered the specific concepts that have already been placed in front of them? Have they mastered them completely? And so it is time to move on, because if I stay where my child has mastered, then honestly I am not challenging them at all. It might feel really great to me to see them doing an excellent job in this area, but obviously they would, because they've mastered it. It's now time to move them into another area of that particular subject or new content that allows them to have questions, to not know the answer, to have to do some work to figure it out. This is how you're challenging your child, is making sure that you're putting in front of them things that they can't answer right away, that they might have to do some research to figure it out, that they do have to take some time to study it to understand, that there is some time that instruction needs to be poured into them for them to understand a particular concept. This is where they're being challenged. If your child if you're only presenting to your child information that they've already mastered, there is no challenge there. And then what that also means is, if there is no challenge, then there is no continued learning. So you want to make sure that you're constantly helping your child to continue learning. So really, in understanding their capability and understanding whether they've mastered the information that you've already given them, this helps you to understand whether or not they're being challenged. Are you, on the flip side of this, are you giving them information they aren't ready for? Are they not capable of this just yet? Have you prepared them properly for where you're moving them to? Did you spend enough time on the building blocks to the point where you're trying to take them to right now? So for instance, if you just introduced multiplication to your child yesterday, then it's probably not smart to start them on division on day 2. You know, you are going to be spending time with them, making sure they understand multiplication at its core. What is multiplication? How does that even work? You may start out with using objects for grouping to show them how the process works. Depending on how your child learns, there may be certain ways that you're going to need to present that information to them so that it sticks, so that they understand what it is that you're saying. And so you have to make sure that your child has the capability to actually take in the information you're trying to give them. And I want to touch on just sometimes in the homeschool environment, there is such a range of families that homeschool, a range of reasons why we homeschool, and how we got to this place. And sometimes there's this false understanding of, that if your child's being homeschooled, that you have to be like trying to create a genius, that you have to be trying to create a child prodigy. And what I believe is that the homeschool environment allows you to help your child shape and pour out the genius that's already in them, so that they are able to really show who they are in a very individualized, customized, and focused environment where you as a parent have the privilege of helping them to show up authentically as who they are. I think that is so amazing. And so if who they are is an absolute genius, then awesome. If who they are is right on par with where they're supposed to be, awesome. If who they are is needing a little bit of additional help in certain areas to make sure that they're on par, awesome. Because you as the parent get the opportunity to walk them through that stage. So do not feel that you have to pour onto your child all of this information so that you're measuring up to other people and other families, and then your child's feeling overwhelmed because they can't handle it. They can't take it. That's not their level. And it doesn't need to be. So do not feel that, if my child is not at this particular level, this other child, they're the same age and this child's doing this, but my child's only doing that. Focus on your child and pour into your child where they are. Because you never know when it's going to click and spark and move. And so you don't have to focus on, what someone else is doing, or whether or not, if my child is behind or things like that. All of those things are counterproductive to creating an effective, loving, and focused learning environment for your child, because that's what you're doing. You're creating a space for your kid, not for somebody else's. It's for your kid. So really, when we're thinking about whether you're challenging your child, look at what their capacity is and work from there. Make sure that they've mastered what they've already been given, and then look at what they're able to do. Listen to what your child is telling you. Are they asking you for more? Are they showing you that they're ready for more? And if so, that's when you begin to pour into them. But don't feel as though you have to meet some certain level of achievement in order to be challenging your child, in order for them to be feeling like they are learning and growing and thriving, and for you to actually see that happening in your kid. So I hope that this has helped you with the question of answering the question of whether you are challenging your child in their learning environment. I hope that I've eased your mind and your heart some around these questions. I hope that you've enjoyed these 3 videos in this series where we've attacked some of these questions, and I hope that now you're able to see it from a different perspective. If you have watched this video today or any of the videos in this series and you said, Tiffany, thank you so much. You have really helped me. I feel so much better about this, and I'd really like to talk to you more. Do me a favor, leave me a comment under this video or send me a personal message. I'll connect with you, and then we'll be able to schedule a time to chat. I look forward to helping you continue your homeschool journey, and thank you so much for spending some time with me. Have an awesome day.